This is Project Command.
Stand by to power transfer.
Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Behold his mighty hand!
Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang.
Just want to manage expectations.
Slick.
Let's get the party started. Boop,
My hump, my lovely lady lump. Check it out.
Whiz bang! Tucci!
Awesome.
What up, brother?
What's up, man? How you feeling?
You
How's
need
your
to
little
shave.
throat there? Your little,
You need to shave your
you got a
face.
little, what do you got? A frog in your throat or something? A little scratchiness going on there?
You know, it's from yelling. It's from yelling, man. You know, I'm just
Let's do this,
you
man.
know, I'm a drill sergeant, you know, trying to get things done.
I
Yelling
hear
at
you,
the
man.
yelling at the production team. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, Scal. I'm loving that new intro, man. I know it's still a work in progress, but it's fantastic.
It's a little fun, you know. You know, the main intro is pretty great. I was like, let's do a little something fun here. Let's grab some snippets from it. And we snippeted it, you know. I snippeted everything. And
Love
we
it.
made that little fun intro there, buddy.
Love
Little
it.
Tucci gang.
Yeah. Well, thinking of little snippets, why don't you introduce our new guest host? This is one of our new
Yes.
shows on the Pop XP called Whiz Bang.
Whiz bang. Why is it whiz bang, bro? Why is it whiz bang?
Because that was the font that we used in the 90s for that was the first lettering
No.
font. But that's not why we used
No.
it.
No,
Oh, why?
bro. Because we're like a missile strike, man. We come in fast, we come in hot, and we bring the heat. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Font?
so if you
Oh
hear
my
the whiz,
gosh.
if you hear the whiz, you're not
You
gonna
hear
hear
the
the bang.
whiz. You hear the
Whiz
whiz.
bang.
The whiz
Dude, I
bang.
love all those missiles firing off.
And I made it like obnoxiously long. You
Yeah,
know?
it's long,
It's like,
but it's all right.
people are like, what? What is
I like
this?
me and you dancing around in the snow as elves, jumping around.
I know that was fun. We had a good time that day.
Yeah, that was a
We
great
had a
day.
good time that day.
That
It
was
was
a great
fun.
day. That was up in
Remember
Connecticut.
when we went to Wendy's and we shared a 20 bucket of nuggets?
Yes.
That was fun too.
Yep.
That was fun. Thanks for
We gotta
picking
go-
the dipping sauce. I liked it. I would
Yeah,
never
we
have
have to-
thought. A little
next week-
honey and nuggets?
Why not?
Sticky. You know what's not sticky?
What's not sticky?
Our new guest co-host.
Oh, and she is fantastic. She's always a joy to see at the comic conventions.
Yes.
Knows her stuff, I'll tell you that.
True.
And it's nice to have we're looking to get a little diversity here on the show instead of our stupid opinions. Why don't we get people
I
that
know,
actually
right?
know what they're talking about? Opinions.
I know. You
Feels
know,
like
like people that don't have to fake it like us, you know?
Yeah,
Just faking
like
it
an
all the time.
outsider's POV and stuff. But well, Nile, come on, brother, bring
Yeah. So everyone, please welcome
in our little princess,
one of
our
a new
queen.
team member to the Pop XP. Everyone, please welcome Skylar to the show.
Hey,
Fun. Yes, I can verify that I am not sticky. So
We got verification she's not sticky, so we're good, everybody. We're good.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys so much. So
No, thank you for joining
We're
us.
happy. We're
Yeah,
happy to
speaking of
have you.
sticky, real quick, man. You know what I haven't had all fall?
A candy apple?
Yes. Or,
Oh, shit, I was
like
right.
Caramel. Yes, I like caramel apples.
ding ding ding.
Yeah.
Caramel?
Yeah, what do you
Caramel or
like?
caramel?
You like caramel? It's caramel.
Caramel.
We'll ask Woz. Woz knows how to say it.
All right.
Well, how
all
would
right.
you
We'll see
think,
if he likes
Skylar?
it.
You're a
Caramel.
I'm
or-
from the South. Everybody
Yeah.
says everything different here. You know how it is. Everybody's always like at conventions, where are you from? And I'm like, the South. Why?
Is it
So they
caramel?
always pick it up. So it's for here, I usually hear caramel.
Oh,
You know,
all right.
pecan.
Is it a pecan or a pecan?
It's pecan here, but I've said it both ways. So, but everybody says pecan.
I feel like you say pecan, Billy.
I do say pecan.
You do, don't you? I just feel like you would say that.
Well, I think
Like,
you
I'll
would
have a
say
slice of your
pecan.
pecan pie.
Just like a pecan, but I
Hey.
like chocolate cream pie and blueberry pie. That's the only pies I like.
I kind of like banana cream pie.
Oh God.
Do you like banana cream pie? It's like
I
someone
don't-
chewed the bananas for you, put
I
it into
don't
a pie.
personally. I feel like banana
with me.
pudding and banana cream pie here are like a staple from where I'm from in North Carolina, and I've just never been a fan of it personally.
Well, it was
So
fun having you on.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. That was a wonderful short time period, Billy.
Yes, yeah, I guess
Fire,
so.
Billy.
And you're not even sick of us yet. No, but it's great to have you on, Skylar, and it's also great for our guests. This is a real
Yeah.
treat.
So
Yeah,
oh yeah,
Billy's a
I'm super excited. So
I'm excited for this. I've followed his career for a while. He has an awesome campaign that's going to be coming out. The email list link is going to be posted into the live chat, and you'll also see it in the description for the show. And he's also has some stuff going on that we're going to talk about. So everyone, without further ado, welcome Mr. Woz to the show.
It's caramel.
It is. Oh,
Right.
do you prefer a caramel apple?
Yeah, but see,
Caramel.
Chris is
Candy
from
apple.
he's from the city.
Yeah, I'm
So
from
they
Manhattan.
do talk like that. I'm from Long Island, so we
That's different.
the worst accent in the world.
Actually, my girlfriend upstairs is from Long Island.
So you remember, like, how do you say your mom's name, Nile?
My mom. Oh, come on.
How do you
What do
say
you
it?
She's Karen.
Karen.
And
How do you
she's
say
a
Woz? How do you say Karen?
Karen.
See? So Karen, you
How do
should
you
say
say
caramel
Farrah?
like Karen. Like Karen, that was all we had.
Hey, Billy, how do you say Farah?
Everybody says Farrah, except for you.
I know. I get yelled at.
And Niall's wife's name is Farrah, and she tells me he can do any accent in the world, but he can't say my name right.
It's fair.
It's that
You say
Connecticut
Farrah
accent.
too?
It's
No.
fair.
It's Farrah.
She's like, say
Farrah.
Farah.
And she was named after Farrah Fawcett, right? Majors.
No, she wasn't.
What?
Oh no?
Yes, he was.
No. No,
Who
she
else
wasn't.
there?
She was named after the Egyptian deity, Farah.
Get out of here.
I don't know. I have no clue what she's. I guess Farrah Fawcett. I don't know.
Definitely Farrah
And
Fawcett.
it's deity.
that was really convincing
I
though.
know.
I was like following. I was like, what?
I didn't even
Skylar,
say it
that's
right.
Yeah, Skylar, you have a beautiful name. Where'd you get your name from?
I think my mom heard it on a TV show. It was like, okay, she's either gonna be, because they knew they were having a girl. She's like, okay, it's either gonna be Gabrielle or Skylar, and she was gonna name me Gabrielle off from the show Xena. And with Lucy Lawless, she's like, okay, she's either gonna be Gabrielle, but she's like, I didn't want people calling you Gabby, so
Yeah.
she's like, I thought Sky sounded better, like for nicknames. So most people call me Sky. So
Oh, Sky.
nice.
We
So
could
we
have
got
called you
Sky
Gigi.
and
That could be
Woz.
our nickname for you is Gigi, because that's another name for Gabrielle.
Gigi, yeah, I think that would have been better. So
Hey, Woz, man. Good to see
Yo.
you, pal.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, you've been making some waves, huh, bud?
Yeah, fuck those people.
Yeah,
For real.
that's my bell. I have my little bell I like to ring.
He's got a belly as a gong.
Yeah, I have a gong. I do. The gong
nice.
sucks, though. It's the gong sucks.
It's like tinfoil, dude.
Yeah, you gotta buy like a $200 gong. You can't buy like a $25 gong.
You should do like a gong tier in a campaign. Upgrade some
Oh.
equipment, man.
I'm
Nice.
trying to, bro. When we get some, maybe we do our plans with Pop XP, I'll be able to.
Maybe.
Mhm.
That's true, TJ. Only you know that nickname. It's special for you.
There you go. Well, let's talk to the Waz, man.
Yeah,
Tell us. All
definitely.
right, so Waz, for the people out there that may not know you, you might give a little insight on yourself, how you got into comics, and how you're wasting a Thursday night with me and Nile. But of course,
All right.
Skylar has made everything wonderful.
Aw. Thanks.
But how I got into comics was I grew up in the projects and I was fucking broke, and I couldn't afford to go to college or, I did manage to sneak in to art and design high school by using my brother's portfolio, and so my brother actually draws well, unlike me. And I went and took the test, and I guess I squeezed through, and I got into art and design. And then after I got into school, I started drawing. So that's basically where I started. I met a couple of lifelong friends there, and they turned me on to John Byrne X-Men comics and stuff. I think I was probably hitting that age where I was starting to not read comics so much. And, obviously still a little bit, but when you hit that 15 and 16, it's baseball and girls, and And then I met Louis Sutton, a great guy, and he turned me on to John Byrne, and that set me back on fire, and I got back into comics. And we used to go play hooky and meet Ross Andrew at DC, and
No shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really cool.
I hung out with Mike Esposito a bunch of times, would have lunch with him, but I never met Ross. I think he had passed away in 93 or something, maybe. 92.
Yeah, but Ross did his last drawing in his life. He did for me. It was a Spider-Man sketch. It was just I think 10 days before he passed. Somebody that I knew also knew him, and I hadn't seen him since the high school days, and I was like, you have to fucking remind him of how we used, when we used to go see him when he was an editor at DC. I was like, he's not going to forget, trust me, because we brought a boombox with us and did 2-hour interviews. We used to record it and, turn it around and say, oh, hang on, we got to, flip the tape and everything. And, and he was like, oh, I remember those guys. So I was like, I begged for a Spider-Man sketch, and he did one for me, and it's since stolen, but, sadly. But Ross is my boy. I always throw it up in the air between Byrne's X-Men and Ross Andrew's Spider-Man run, which is my favorite all-time run. And it's hard for me to make that call because one is that teenage, on fire, Terry Austin and all that shit. But Ross's Spider-Man is at the core of my being. It's that's my childhood, So it's I still to this day love it. As a matter of fact, I ordered the omnibus today that is completes Ross's run. It's not complete, but it gets into the meat of it. So still buying Ross Andrew comics.
Isn't Ross the one who drew the Superman versus Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Atop the Empire State Building.
Yeah, the cover for that was still in his office when we saw him up at DC. And I spoke at this yesterday with Art on Pontificators. So he was a great teacher. He was super patient, would answer every question, and he would show you how he lays things out and how it's important to lead the eye and how to compose backgrounds and everything. Guy was a master at it was hard for him to draw though. It's like he said, putting in the hours at the board is difficult because he's one of those guys where he says drawing doesn't come natural, and he has to put in long hours to make comic book pages, and I'll never forget what he said. He says, I love having drawn, but the actual act of drawing is difficult.
It's work, man.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
It really
Especially
is.
when it doesn't come easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your path into the actual industry? So you went to school, you were playing hooky. But what was your actual path? You forged your way into school, you son of a... No.
Yeah, but, it was just a little hood rat running around the neighborhood. It was from the projects on the Lower East Side. And after high school, me and my friend Louis Sutton, we were trying to continue doing our homemade books. Strangely enough, just this past year, I wrote a miniseries for our high school characters. It's complete. I got a 4-issue miniseries, fully scripted, and the 4th issue is a double size, like 55-pager, I think. So
wow.
that's something that we want to get to before we die. You know? But actually, I love the story. I thought it came out great. But it was one of those things where I was just floundering around, and my buddy Mike, who I also went to school with, he started doing assistant inking work for Art Nichols, if anybody remembers Art.
Yep.
And he was like, he could use an extra guy. Why don't you come up? And so I went up there and met them, and then I wound up being Art's part as inking assistant for a good year and a half, I think. And Mike had even he did it a few more months and left, and I just kept doing it until I met some people up at the office and everything, and eventually I met Andy Helfer, and Andy, as it happens, I had this is so sad, but I had this in the World Trade Center. I was like a minimum wage messenger, right? And so working for $2.40 an hour, that's $2.40.
Jeez.
And like delivering fucking envelopes in the rain and all this shit. And but on my regular run, Andy Helfer lived across the street from the towers then, and not every day, but really regularly, I used to fucking see him on the subway platform, and we took the same ride. Like his he went from the Trade Center all the way up to Fifth Avenue to go to DC, and my run took me from the Trade Center up to Fifth Avenue to start my fucking delivery bullshit, and then I worked my way downtown. So we commuted quite a bit, and I got to know him really well, and he let me come to the office and annoy him and show him samples and shit like that. And I just did that over and over until work came out of it. But it was through Andy that I really got to spend time in the office and get to meet people and everything. And Karen Berg, I think, gave me my first job, and I started as an inker initially. And then Andy gave me some penciling work, and we went from there.
Nice. Now you did stuff for DC and Marvel, correct?
Yeah, initially DC, and then I didn't do Marvel work until maybe 1990. I did a lot more DC work in the beginning years, and it was just one of those things where I just didn't really know anybody up at Marvel other than freelancers and stuff, but I knew people at DC quite well. I worked at the office for a while. Helfer put a drawing table into the office, and I was young and green, but I actually spent about 6 months drawing pages at DC Comics, literally showing up in the morning, drawing all day, and then
Was it like a bullpen thing, or were you working on your stuff?
It was in Andy's office. He put a drawing table in, and then he told me, "Why don't you just come here and fucking, sit here all day and fucking," and that's what happened. I did that for it was a good half a year that we did it, and I think I was doing Spectre or something in those days.
Oh, cool.
And, but that's that was kind of really, really cool because Andy had fucking his own version of what hours were. He would show up at 10 and and work till 7 when the office was empty and stuff like that. But one of the things he you just learned a lot just hanging around the office. Kirby was in those days doing superpowers, and that went through Andy's office. And so every fucking day, in the evening, 4 or 5 o'clock or something, when everybody started to empty out of the office, we Andy would do his call with Jack that would go on for an hour or something. He would just put it on speaker. He would just say, "Be quiet," and but Jack was on speaker, and I sat there where Andy talking to Kirby for an hour every day, for fucking months. It was awesome,
Nice. Can you spill some tea? Were they talking about anything? Anything not comic related? Huh?
Well, Jack. Has that, that whole, we all know the history, and so, that frustration, I think, was still even then, in his voice when he talked about those things. And, but Jack actually, a few times, Andy would say, "Hey, there's there's a freelancer here. His name is Chris," and so there was not many times he would do that, but there were a few times where, he would acknowledge me in the room, and I could say something. You know what I mean? But Jack is from my old neighborhood. I'm from the Vladic housing projects on Madison Street, and Jack was from Essex Street and then Clinton Street. So he's literally like we grew up about 4 blocks apart. Yeah.
Where did Jack live at that time?
He was in California.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he died when he passed away. He was living out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The only time I met him face to face was in San Diego. At, one of the conventions then, and it was just the one time. But he was in Manhattan, obviously, in his early days at Marvel and stuff like that. He was still in New York, but then he went out to the island. I don't know exactly what town he was out there, and but eventually, he went out west to do some of the animation stuff, and
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So for working with DC and working with Marvel, I mean, is there a project that sticks with you, like something that you're just like, man, I can't believe I got to work on that?
No, I mean, it's so weird because I didn't really ever do an extended run on anything. It was more like the hitman in the office. Like, if they needed something done in a week, he kind of gave it to me, and and of course, that's too fast for me to draw anything. But it was when in DC in those days. This is when later on when we're starting to hit 90 and stuff, and there was the production was ramping up a little bit. There was an expression in the office: we can't print blank pages. So basically saying, hey, just get something done so that we can put it out. They were just trying to flood the market with a lot of product, and there was a lot of that, draw this quickly, and let's just get something out. So I did tons of fill-ins and that's inventory stories and shit like that, and I was just all over the place. I mean, I don't even know if I ever did more than 5 straight issues on any one title. And but again, the problem here is that I was a young guy, still we're talking late 80s, and I was 24 years old or whatever, so it was hard to it was also hard for me to stay at the drawing board for long hours. I wanted to go out and meet friends and drink and shit like that.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Have fun while you're young.
Yeah, really. Yeah, Skylar, abuse your youth.
Abuse it. Oh, geez. I can't do that. I can't stay up super late and drink and stuff, and friends will be like, oh, let's try to go out, and I'm like, oh no. So I feel like I'm like an old soul trapped in a young person's body. I don't know. So
Waz, now so you've worked mainstream, you've done stuff, you know, freelance writing, things of that nature, but you're now promoting a campaign that you're going to have coming up on Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
It's an original graphic novel called Penelope PowerHouse.
Oh, cool.
That's it. It's super cool, but it's a humor book. It's actually like a Rick and Morty type humor. It's and it's not. I wanted to do, if I was going to come back and have to draw a comic, because a lot of people don't realize I actually co-owned the comic book company for 8 years. But I had a money guy, and I was the creative guy, and we had a lot of Marvel and DC talent working there, doing stuff. And he never let us release anything. He was always like, "No, we need a bigger launch. We need a bigger launch." And I had no idea what was going on, and no one else did either. They were like, "Hey, when are the books coming out?" Because we just kept stockpiling books, and for whatever reason, I only had 49%. This guy had 51%, and he never let us fucking launch. And we had, you could talk to Chris Batista about this. I mean, he did, a book that I was writing called Guns and Glitter. I think he did 8 issues or maybe even 9. Okay. And none of them saw the light. They're fucking lettered and colored, and, and they're just sitting around, never to be seen. But, if I was, I just thought if I was going to actually have to draw the book again myself, I'm going to do what I want to do. And I like humor. I like, fun stuff.
So can you tell us a bit about the story itself of that?
Oh, yeah.
What's in this book?
Well, Penelope PowerHouse is, she's like the teen sensation, superhero that everybody loves. She's America's sweetheart kind of thing, but she's like the cunt of the fucking universe. What no one realizes is that she's taking over. There's a high school girl from Nebraska named Morgan Despair, and she's like this goth chick, and she goes on vacation with her family to Egypt, and she catches a sunburn, and she like swears, that she's never going to go out in the sun again, but she says it in front of Ra, the Egyptian sun god, who curses her, for the rest of her life to suffer from a sunny disposition. And the way he does that is that Penelope PowerHouse takes over her body every time the sun comes up, and basically spends all day, every day, ruining her life. And, we are talking about deities and gods. She's a sun goddess, and Ra is her, father and everything. And so they have absolutely no sense of proportion. When they fuck with her, it is brutal, so that's the basic premise is Morgan's got to figure out how to get out of this. And, so we got an ordinary teenage girl, at war with an actual goddess, a sun deity who's basically omnipotent. And, she's got to figure out, she's got to use all her smarts and her wits, to get out of it. There's Penny right there. Crazy bitch.
That's fun, man. That's cool.
That's neat. And you're writing and drawing you're doing everything in the book?
Everything. Yeah, that one little face shot is actually from a trading card. That's John Royal. Mm-hmm. Great guy. He's my friend from across the pond. I love that dude. But the whole book, all the art, inking, it's all mine. I did bring in a colorist. She's doing a great job. It's Diana Noriega, and she's fantastic. And but we're going for this very saturated, open, animated type look. I don't let her do any. She can't. I don't allow her to shade with any K-tones or anything. If she's going to do a shadow, it's got to be in blues or purples or some shit. And the sun in every single panel. There's not a cloud. We're catering it to work with the character.
Nice. Yeah, I like the style of it. I like the way it's drawn.
Yeah, thanks.
Very clean, nice, refreshing. So how many pages is it going to be?
Yeah, well, I just finished thumbnailing it. Now that you ask, and it's 72. I thought it was going to be like 54.
Oh, it's a big book, dude.
Yeah, no shit. I'm like, oh man. Yeah, I asked the guys. I was talking to Art. I was like, should I break this up? And he was like, no, just do it. And I'm like, oh boy. But yeah, 72 pages it clocked in at, and so that's what it's going to be. 72 pages. Yeah, but it's weird because if you ever watch the trailer for it, that was like the first video I have ever made of anything. I didn't know how to record sound. I didn't know how to animate anything. I didn't know anything about making a video. I just never even tried. And so that trailer, I actually was inventing Penelope PowerHouse as I made the trailer. Because, I had her left over as a children's property when me and Chuck Dixon created a bunch of children's properties for that company I mentioned. But when I did the trailer, I put it out. Within like a couple of weeks, I wound up getting producer interest, like from Netflix. And it just so happened that a producer saw it and he did reality TV, but he had a producer friend that, dealt in animation. I don't want to mention the shows that he has, but he's got like 3 animated shows on Netflix. One of them is that you'll definitely know what it is. And so there was a little, talk of getting that going, and then the fucking the Netflix crash. You know what I mean? With the stuff, and it cooled off, and it was like, cool. I'll just finish the book, and we'll talk later. Yeah. So.
Oh, nice. So when is the actual campaign going to launch?
Well, I was going to let it go like 2-3 weeks ago. And I was just like, the holidays, is this a good time to be crowdfunding and everything? And, we talked about it back and forth. We decided, we'll just hold it until after the holidays. So I'll probably, give it at least through January for everyone to recover from, all their shopping and all that shit. And I'll let it go.
I would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that because things can get so lost at this time of the year. Everyone's spending money on Christmas, on Hanukkah. so it's, and I mean, people aren't home, they're going out, they're not really, after the whole Christmas break, you're going to need, I mean, after the holiday season, January, near the end of January, I would do more than early January, because then people start to, and then winter comes and you don't want to go out, and you'd rather stay, and you're online more, and you're more, it's kind of getting back to the normal, I guess the new normal that it is that we're so engaged online with each other. Because
I'm probably willing to wait until late February or first week of March or something. It is what it is.
Now I got a question to ask you. You were talking to Art about that you have it at 72 pages, right? That's a big book. What's your price going to be for that?
I don't know. I'm going to ask you guys.
Could you now just quite possibly, could you break it up to be, say, 32 pages of story and art, and then maybe a 48-page book total for part one with covers, with your concepts, with your thumbnails? People like throwing all that extra stuff in.
Yeah, absolutely. I could. I mean, I got a ton of favors I can call in from guys that do variants and pinups and shit like that. I was actually planning on
Skylar cover.
Yeah. Good.
Variant. She'll draw a variant cover for you.
Yeah.
Just yelling at people.
I was hoping to add a pinup gallery with a whole bunch of people, and but after it came in at 72 pages, like, holy shit, that's a lot. Because the thing is, like, initially I was working off a comic book plot, and then when I got the producer interest, he invited me to write a television pilot, and so I did that. I scripted an entire television pilot, and obviously, if somebody asks you to write a television pilot, you do it good.
Yeah.
You put some work into it, make sure it's right. And so, after I finished writing the TV pilot, I couldn't go back and do the other story. I was like, oh, well, this is obviously way more involved, way better. And so now I'm drawing from the television pilot, but that wasn't paced out into panels or anything.
Right.
So I just finished breaking it down. It clocked in a little deeper than I thought, but that's what it said.
Do you think you could, and I'll get to it where I'm going. So do you think you could, as opposed to being 72 pages, do you think you could find a break that it could conceivably end at, say, 34, 36, 32 pages and still be a because what we did, we just did a 72-page book, and it was originally supposed to be 48 pages, and for the last She book, Sakura, and it ended up being 62 pages of story and art. And I got to tell you, when I finished the 48th page, you're like, and then I'm like, oh my god, we've expanded this book, and so it would take you, say, this much time to do 48 pages, and it might take you that much time to do the next 24 pages or so. But it also increases costs. It makes you make your book more expensive. So just as something to think about, that maybe, especially it's your first campaign with, for introducing Penelope and everything like that, and the stories and all, maybe you do it shorter, a more, like, say, 48 pages tops, right? And that's a thick book. You get 48 pages. That's not thick. That means that you could get that book out faster, because everyone's going to back you the first time, going to come back and back you the second time.
Okay.
And you fulfill that book, right, on time, instead of people waiting 7-8 months, a year, a year and a half. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, that was exactly my question for that I was throwing around. I was like, my book clocked in at 72 pages. Do I break this up into 3 issues, or like 2 parts, or what?
Yeah.
And they were like, they were kind of like leaning towards just doing it all in one shot. And I was like, but do people hang around that long? Do they lose patience?
Right, because you could do it a floppy. You could even do it as a 32-page book, 36 pages, and it's a 36-page comic. You lower the price a little bit more because it's expensive. To print. Plus, you're gonna have to use different printers for a square-bound book.
Yeah,
and they might be booked up. You know what I mean? So it's always easy. You can always find people to do 32-page comics. There's a lot of printers that'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm doing a 32-page book, then by the time I launch, I would have most of it in the can, I think. Easy.
Yeah, especially like you were saying, maybe February you go, March, after people pay all their Christmas credit card bills, and Hanukkah credit card bills and stuff. And I'm just saying, that's something just to think about. Really break it down and see if the story is.
Yeah, it's fine to break.
Yeah, because then you could launch immediately right after you fulfill.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always of a mind that I can, drawing is difficult for me, like Ross, but like writing comes so easy. It's like I never ever fret. If you tell me write, a novel about a dirty sock and a goldfish, I'll say, okay, I'll see you in 2 months. Like it doesn't. Writing just is easy. It's just it's one of those things where I put no thought in. Well, I don't put no thought into it, but it rolls. Like when I did.
Skylar, how do you feel as someone as a fan? Because you're also a fan. I know that you, and we will have. Next time we'll have our show will be Meet Skylar. We'll introduce you to everybody.
Meet Skylar, yeah.
But how do you feel, Skylar, about that? Are you okay with, say, buying a book that's 32 pages, or are you the kind that you'd rather wait a year, 6, 7, 8 months to get the collected, trade paperback?
So usually like I like if it's something that really appeals to me, like actually with you explaining Penelope, like how she came to be, I was like, oh, this sounds like something that would be right up my alley. I would go ahead and buy the book, and then if you did decide to do like something condensed, like an omnibus or whatever, I would still buy that, because honestly, I'm kind of weird when it comes to collecting stories. I'll get like a trade, but then I'll get like a collector's thing because of the hardback. I'm a very much a physical book reader. I know a lot of people love to read stuff online digitally. I don't know what it is about actually holding a book in your hand and opening it and read it. It's all different for different people, I know, but that's me. So, and I, like you were describing her backstory, I really love that. And if you don't mind me asking, like, what gave you inspiration to create her?
Well, like I said, she was in. I had decided I was going to do a comic. I was going to self-publish a comic. I got to be careful because this dude is litigious. But the guy I was associated with wound up on. Boy, everybody know what RICO is? The RICO laws. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. So that whole thing went away, and so I was like, if I publish a book, I should just, I had plenty, I inherited, I don't know, somewhere like 12 to 20 series that that we had either in development or had actually worked on, and it was one of those things where, but the situation was I couldn't actually use any of the work that we had done, so because it was lost. It was in the company thing, which we didn't have access to anymore. And so I decided if I'm going to do something from scratch, I got plenty of IPs lying around. That wasn't a problem, but I want to do something my way. And Penelope PowerHouse was one of the children's books, but it was something that was so easy to grasp. She's the Sun Adventures of Penelope PowerHouse. She's solar powered, this and that. But I thought there's the old axiom in comics or in any writing really, that a hero is only as great as his villains. That's why Spider-Man's a great hero, because his villains are awesome. So what I did, I took Penelope PowerHouse and I made her the worst fucking villain of all time. She's just like she's the galactic space cunt, and she literally focuses all of her ill intent on a single innocent girl that did nothing to her. So she's the uber bitch, And so, what better hero to fight someone who's so omnipotent, than an ordinary high school girl who has no powers or anything, because if she can overcome that situation and defeat this bitch, that's a fucking hero, So it's very much one of those, the Hobbit type thing where a innocent person gets scooped up into this big grand adventure, and it's that whole thing. And I just think that the hero that I've worked out, Morgan Despair, the high school girl, I think she's a fantastic hero. I think she's gonna I think she's gonna be a big deal once the story it comes out. I think she's gonna be a cult fave there. So
that's awesome.
It sounds great too. Sounds something prime for TV too.
Yeah,
it does.
But yeah, I see. That's why again is what Skylar had said. going back to my thing about that, because I hate to wait for stuff personally. So,
Yeah.
and I'm like you, Skylar. I like collecting the floppies, and then I'll get the trade. And if there's an omnibus, I'll buy that too. And I think the majority of comic fans are like that. So that's something you can always do your 72 page book next year, 2024 even.
Yeah.
So that's what I was just thinking, with that sort of.
Yeah, like I said, with this whole crowdfunding thing, this is my first campaign. And even though I've got a ton of other things lined up that I can do, is like, I need to bow to the wisdom of the guys that have been doing it, and and get some schooling in the actual, because there's a difference between publishing and then self-publishing. It's a whole other world.
Yeah, I definitely I agree with Billy on. I would consider breaking it up.
Yeah.
Especially if you can get the whole thing done or close to it, then your fulfillment time. If you can have a speedy fulfillment time, that's all the better for growing your reputation as a crowdfunding creator. If you do it and you like it after the first go around.
Yeah, because it's a lot of work, and you're gonna see it's a lot of work, but it's so rewarding. When you own something, and it's far more rewarding when than working for Marvel and DC. Like I get such a kick of when I'm at a convention and somebody comes up and gives me right, something I created and I owned, and asked me to sign it, and then I sign, they say thank you. I'm like, no, thank you, man. As opposed to say something I had done for DC or something I'd done for Marvel, which I love doing those at the time. But Marvel and DC, those characters are theirs. They're not yours.
Yeah, they never will be.
Nope, they never will be. And they let you know that. It was Kirby who said comics will break your heart. And he's right about that. But that's really talking about the mainstream working for Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
I mean, for every story like Jim Starlin has that they did right by him, and Roy Thomas, how many dozens of stories are they? I mean, look at Jack Kirby that they screwed over.
Yeah. I mean, it's a super big deal when, especially someone like Jack, who basically came up with the universe, with Stan, but, it's rough, when, he's got to see his, creations, go and, he has no control over them or anything, it's one of those things where, it work for hire is that world where it's like, you can put your heart into it, but you're signing away all the rights, so, if you haven't signed away all the rights, then, you control it. But, it's a whole nother world when, you enter into, that type of thing. If you're going to contract out, then, that you got to live with those terms,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of, about mainstream stuff and whatnot, I mean, you've been vocal about this on social media. You currently have a GoFundMe going on to help support this, the cause of what you have happening, which, I think you're well deserving in your request. But you have a bout right now with DC and Warner Brother, regarding the movie, The Batman.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those things, man. That story's been kicking around for ages. I first submitted it to Archie Goodwin when he took over the Batman office, and this is going all the way back then. And, and literally, I pulled it out and resubmitted it a number of times over the years. I mean, literally, the last time we tried to was like 2017. But it's one of those stories that's just been kicking around and around and around. Now, the thing is, besides a comic pitch, because it was the only. I thought it was the only. And it turns out I wrote two, but I thought it was the only Batman story I ever wrote, and I knew it was a good story, and that's why I never forgot about it. I got hit by a tornado and lost all my possessions, and then I retyped that story 6 months later or something, because I knew I was just going to keep shopping it. I didn't want to lose it, from a Xerox copy. And 2008, I met Michael Uslan at New York Comic Con, and he was in. He liked the title of another book I had printed, and asked for a free copy. I gave him one, and he gave me his card and said, "Yeah, I'm always looking for good stories." So I sent him a fucking story, and the guy ran away with it. So now we're having this beef, but I in 2008. like literally just a few months after I gave him the story, Warner Brothers was pushing Nolan to do it for his third film. You know, a Riddler serial killer story, rumored to be a Riddler serial killer story with a Catwoman and Penguin subplot. We are obviously talking about the same story, you know. But Nolan passed on it because he's like, I just did Joker. I don't want to do another, thinking type of film, an intellectual film. I want a physical film for him to fight. So he did Bane, you know. And lo and behold, the next, solo Batman project is fucking my story, you know. And so, I lost my shit. I was like, what the fuck, man? It's like, you guys.
Yeah, because it's been in people's hands. It's gone around the offices. You submitted. Now, when did you first submit it?
I first submitted it was like 1990.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we are talking. I think I wrote that story. I was 26 years old, and that story. And Archie. Here's the. What's funny about it is like Archie loved it. He stopped me in the hall. He was like, "Did you write that story?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "No, did you really write that story?" I was like, "Yeah, it's my story. I wrote the story." He goes, "It's really, really good. I can't let you do it." And I was like, "Well, why?" And basically, he said that Paul and Jeanette would never let me do a story that was that big. It was like too important, to the Batman, mythos and everything. And so, he was like, they're not going to let, because I was green, still like kind of a new guy and everything. I was like, and I'll never forget that Archie said, if you were Frank Miller, we'd let you do the story tomorrow.
I was just going to say that.
I was actually going to say something like, "Oh, you have to be Frank Miller to get something like that done."
No, he said exactly that. So
what is your story? So what is the similarities? Like, what, if you don't mind, if you can talk, like, what is the basic premises?
If you've seen the film, my story is the Riddler, plot line, soup to nuts, completely. Literally the same reimagining of the Riddler with the same, it's everything. It's the entire Riddler storyline. My plot line had nothing to do, the subplots of Catwoman and Penguin were not in my story. Those were added, after I because you know how it is when if you pitch a film, it's, oh, here's my film story, but if they're actually going to make it, there's merchandise involved, so they add some characters to, for extra toys and shit like that. So that's what they did, and but it's but the thing is, the Riddler storyline, that I submitted is the main plot line of the movie. It's everything is built around it. It's the roots of the fucking movie. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, TJ.
So, and you would think that, like, with all the money that they have and, with Warner Brothers owning DC and everything, and Michael Uslan worked at DC and I worked at DC, and I just thought we were all friends. I didn't think anything of handing him a story, and the guy just turned around and fucked me. He's like, he never replied, but he took it and ran. He was literally shopping. He was trying to get DiCaprio and Johnny Depp to play the Riddler like 4 months after I gave him the story. He was like, "Oh, we're going to do this great Riddler story. He's going to be in the next movie and everything." Never even fucking replied to my email. He just fucking erased my name and moved on, and it's bullshit, so. And so now we're in a fucking bizarre situation. Here's the thing, like, I made a couple of videos about the situation and everything, but also comparing my story to the film, and it's very clearly my story. There's some parts in there where there's not even a astronomical fucking possibility that it's not. It's like there are some rewrites and character compositing that can't be done with any other story in the world. It's my story, no doubt. And and I think Warner Brothers knows that they have, even with all the money and everything, that they're probably going to lose that argument in court. They hate, so, and what it's like when that's my story in that movie. And what's the film studio's response? Always, 100% of the time, fuck you. We never saw it. We don't know what you're talking about. It's not right. It's a coincidence. That is not Warner Brothers' response. Warner Brothers' response, which kind of shocked me, and not my lawyer, but me, is that basically they're arguing that I had no right. I didn't have permission to write the story in the first place, so it's theirs. And I was like, you are fucking kidding. You're going to try and run with
Wow.
this. This is
Wow.
lawyers. This is lawyers bullshit, you know. And clearly, these fucking lawyers never once bothered to go to DC and ask questions, you know, because I'm going to fucking bring in half the comic book fucking industry to refute that. You know, we all had fucking free license to pitch. It's ridiculous. You know, of course we did.
That's how they got their stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's you know, they can't argue that it's not my story because I got them cold on that one. They you know, they can't argue how, you know, that they wrote their story first. I got them cold on that one. They can't argue they didn't get the story. I got them cold on that one. And they can't argue it's not my story in the film because I got them cold on that too. So they're looking for this little fucking loophole, you know. And basically they tried to scare me off. You know, they were like, you know, if you don't back down and drop the case, you know, we're gonna bring DC Comics in and sue you for copyright infringement. And I'm like, let me drop the case. I'm suing you. I'm not going anywhere. You're fucking let's move.
The copyright for you didn't make any money off of this. You didn't sell that. You didn't make your own Batman comic and print it.
Argument, and we know why they're doing it. DC Comics has never, in the history of the fucking company, sought ownership of somebody's pitch that didn't get, you know, that wasn't accepted. This is ridiculous. There's no precedent for it whatsoever, and this is what they're going to run with, you know. And I'm like, you know, again, I thought, you know, they can't be that stupid, you know, but they just fucking motioned for DC to fucking join the suit, and you know, we didn't even bother to, you know, fight it. They bring him in, fuck right, you know.
Wow.
But that's where we are. So now I'm in this fucking bizarre position where DC Comics is suing me to take ownership of a story I wrote 32 years ago.
Now, did Michael Uslan did he get story credit or anything like that?
No, he's a producer, but he, you know, but I do have clips of him from YouTube where he admits, like, you know, he's doing some interview with some kids or something, like, well, how do you make a Batman movie? And he openly says, I take someone's idea, and you know, and then I bring in, you know, the best team that I could find, the best writers, the best directors, and all this shit, and we build a skyscraper. That was his quote is something like that. But he admits that he, you know, basically gathers, you know, whatever, you know, concept or story or whatever it is they're going to use, and then he hands it off to his team to fluff and make a big movie out of it. So, yeah, all right. So we know how we got from A to B on this one.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now with that though, you know, who has been given the credit?
It's Matt Reeves is credited as the writer with another guy, and I can't for the life of me remember his name right now. I can't remember the guy's name, but Matt Reeves, director, is basically, you know, taking the credit for the screenplay for the most part. You know, and he's done interviews saying that, you know, that, you know, it's all his and that he wrote it. And, you know, and Matt, we know you're full of shit. It's just there's absolutely no way on God's green earth that he wrote that from scratch. We all know that because they were pitching that fucking story in 2008. So he's, you know, and people think I'm hating on Matt Reeves and the fucking movie. I like the movie. I think it's a good movie. You know, I'm not one of those guys that is like shitting on the film. You know, I thought it was well directed. I see what he's going for and everything. I enjoyed it. You know, not the first time through, I was losing my mind, but you know,
so I gotta ask you.
I had a hard time with that movie.
Yeah.
It was a good, like, you know, crime noir, but like I was like, it's not. I don't know. I was like, it's not Batman. Something about it just didn't hit me like Batman.
Yeah, I had big doubts about Patterson in the role, and that's why I didn't see it in the theaters. You know, and one day Chris Batista, DC artist, you know, I was just chatting with him on the phone, and he was like, "Have you seen the new Batman yet?" And I was like, "No." But it had just come on HBO like a day or two before, and he was like, and he liked it a lot. He was like, but he said something that really fucking intrigued me. He said, I think it was really interesting. I think it's the closest representation of Neil Adams' Batman, you know, that they've put on film so far, and that stuck with me. And I was like, okay, you know, I'll watch it tonight. I'll go. You know, That's how I came to see the movie. I did, because I don't like trailers and shit. Like if it's a superhero film, I know I'm going to see it. So I don't like to see trailers. I don't want spoilers. I don't even watch the extras on the Blu-rays and shit like that. I like the film to stand as a film. I don't want to dissolve the disbelief or anything. I just, I want to absorb it as a movie. So I try to stay away from any sneak peek shit or behind the scenes. Like I don't even want to see like when they're showing how they're making the film and it's behind the scenes. I don't want to see the cameras. I want the fantasy of the film. I want to enjoy that. I don't want that spoiled. That's how I like to see films.
We've got a question from Brian Blevins here. He says, "At Watts, how can this be prevented in the future? It seems like this is a Hollywood horror story as old as time."
It fuck is, and I mean, this happens all the time. That comic creators get ripped off by Hollywood, and I have the only thing I have going for me is now we have the fucking internet and everyone shares information. Because I don't have the money to fight them, I don't have the power to fight them. And that's they know that. So everything's in their favor except for the truth, because the truth we could just fucking talk about it freely, and it's on the internet and everything, and everybody can make up their own. That's what I always like to do. So let's fucking air it out. And I invited Uslan and Reeves to fucking debate me, and that's still open. If they want to fucking talk about it, I'll go on any show and talk this through.
Have you reached out to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund about this?
No, I have legal representation. I didn't, but I was, back when I was just trying to get my story out, I was trying to basically, attract legal representation because there's nobody that works in comics that has the money to fucking sue a film studio. It's not going to happen. It's, so I needed somebody that, and this is a whole nother thing unto itself, but copyright law is obviously very complex and everything, but you need a lawyer that will not only take it on contingency but has the resources to deal with Warner Brothers, and that's a whole fucking another level of shit. And so my law firm, they do like state legislature, Congress, and some shit. They place guys in there, so they didn't blink at one point. Like, okay, we'll do it. So I rolled.
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Jeez, how frustrating is that? Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
How actually? But like, I know you said like when you found out, you're like, "What the fuck?" But how did you actually find out? Was it before the movie came out, or when you're watching the movie?
Watching the movie and going, man, this is fucking familiar, and I just literally just sat there watching the film, and just like that fucking the sinking feeling in your stomach, and like what the fuck. And when they got to the scene with Paul Dano reveals, he does his Bruce Wayne thing, and Batman's there. Dude, that fucking scene is straight out of my script. And I was like, man, you fucking motherfuckers. And then by the time they got to the end, because the ending is exactly the same from my script too. The mysterious fucking man that's the Joker who like kind of masterminded everything, and that's in my story too. So literally, it's soup to nuts my story. All they did is I had written it as an older Batman, and they, it was kind of a little more global, and they shrunk everything one for one to be self-contained in Gotham City. But there's no difference in the story whatsoever once you account for the fact that, let's make them younger so it all could happen in Gotham. It is exactly my story.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you can answer this question with your case and everything, but do you actually have a copy of that script still?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
I put it out in the very first video, so, yeah, I have a friend that has a copy from 1990.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, because you wonder if you do the old poor man's copyright and mail it to yourself.
Yeah, but this is literally one we could fucking forensically evaluate. It's so old.
Yeah.
Great.
But yeah, but I've also talked about, like, before the film even got into production, there are chats where I spoke to, because I also would pull this out once in a while if, like I've offered it to Tex, after we were working on some project and that project came to an end, and I was like, I got this. I would always say, like, I got this Batman thing. If you want to approach DC with it, I've got this project that's just sitting in the can, that we never did. you know, and I would just, you know, if I was talking with an artist or something about doing something, I would just bring it up. And, hey, look, you know, I got this Batman thing. You know, do you want to work it up? And you know, and so but there's some chats, Facebook chats, and some texts and shit like that, where I'm talking about, I got this old story. I pitched it to Archie in 1990. He really liked it, and you know, it's all documented in these fucking chats and everything before the movie even got into production. So I could prove how old the story is, you know, and the Warner Brothers is not denying any of it. They're not denying that the story's from 1990. They're not denying that I pitched it to DC. They don't seem to be denying that they gave it to Uslan, because that would be stupid, you know. And they're not even denying that that's my story in the film. Not a mention of it. All they're saying is you didn't have a right to write it, so we own it. That's what they're trying to run with, you know. So they're having DC Comics sue me for copyright infringement so they can take control of the story, because that's their only, you know, they don't have a venue, an argument to say it's not my story, you know.
Which they can't do because you didn't actually sell or make a profit off it. So there's no copyright infringement there.
No,
because anyone can write any story as long as you don't sell it. You don't actually, you're not, you know, affecting any copyright laws.
You would think that they would know that, but they're you know.
Well, what I find, I know back in, you know, especially back in the 80s and 90s, I mean, you know, there's people that argue, you know, solicited to write a script, unsolicited to write a script. I mean, people were asked to write scripts, and other creators wrote scripts. When they had a story they wanted to tell for a character they wanted to do, they would sometimes approach on their own accord. I don't know if you've done that too, Billy, but you know, when you have an idea, you pitch the idea, you put something together.
I never did full scripts. Because I even got screwed with them by working on, you know, you get a go ahead to do a project, you know, you pitch something. And they're like, this is great. We want it to be 6 issues. And then you'll spend 2 weeks breaking that down into 2-page synopsises of each issue.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and then you submit it, and then you wait a couple of days, you wait a week. Like, what's happening? Like, we're going to table that for now. And you just spent 2 weeks not getting paid. So that's why I'm like, you know, fuck them. Anybody wants to get into comics, and forgive me, Skylar, I apologize for cursing, but do your own stuff. Do your own books. You know, because
I was even going to say, like, I've got the opportunity to work with several creators at cons, because I work with Spencer Beck as his talent manager for different people he represents, and I hear the stories of like how people don't get credit for stuff, and even like, as a female who has always been interested in comics, it always blows my mind when I overhear conversations at conventions. They're like, for example, the last one I heard was like, oh yeah, Stan Lee created Thanos. And I was like, wait, no. I was like, no, that was Jim Starlin. But like, it always blows my mind because a lot of the movies don't put out like, this is the person who created this. You know, they never give credit back to the creators. And I've even talked to my boyfriend about it. He knows I get really heated about it. I was like, I can't believe like they don't try to actually like say, hey, this person created this or this person wrote this story. And most people don't know. Like if I say a name to some of my friends who are into the MCU stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, like Will Conrad, whoever, you know, I'm bringing something up or some story. They're like, who's that? Because a lot of these movies don't say like, hey, Billy Tucci did this or, you know, whatever. So, and that's one thing I'm
say, George Perez passed away. Like, oh, who did you go to high school with him?
Yeah. Like people don't know because and it drives me nuts that they don't like actually say like, hey, this is the creator of this. And like, I mean, that's somebody that put their heart and soul into creating this character, this story. And it just, I get really like on a tangent about it. So, you know, I always think the creators should be given, you know, their credit for what they did. So,
I mean, even in this situation, there's really no reason why they wouldn't, like, why they shouldn't give you credit.
Exactly.
You know, it's fucking, it's Warner Brothers, obviously. And they're not like they're short on cash.
Well, if they give you credit, they have to pay you.
Well, yeah, but my name should be on that fucking movie. That's, you know, it's criminal that it isn't. You know, it's literally, you know, built. They don't have a film without my story. It's the main, you know, storyline, and so everything's built around it. So it's the foundation of that film, you know, and but you know, I mean, you know, they always do shit like that. Like, even where like they own the material, like in the Deadpool movie, you know, Rob Liefeld gets like a special thanks or something. They don't actually say Deadpool credit, you know, unless you're dead. You know, when you die, you know,
Right.
then they'll give you a credit because they don't have to pay you. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
They give your name like a little tiny name at the bottom. Special thanks to this person.
It's after like the makeup artist. It's
Yeah.
like quick special thanks.
Yeah,
in
of
the
course.
final
Yeah.
sprint.
Yeah, the last thing you see. Special thanks to these artists or writers.
Yeah.
yeah, but you know, this has been going on forever. I mean, like
Yeah.
I pointed out that when I first got into the business, you know, fucking Howard Chaykin was in the office bitching about RoboCop. It was, you know, that, you know, how much of RoboCop is taken from American Flag, you know, fucking
Yeah.
of it, you know, and so, you know, this is just always going on constantly. They just take shit and then they don't fucking, you know, credit, you know, who they're taking from. But in this case, because of the way they didn't change it enough, you know, I got them on the, you know, the rewrites, you know, and most especially where it's, you know, there's no way to fucking deny it. You cannot composite characters and fucking and trade scenes and have it line up 1-to-1 perfectly. It's not possible. Like
Sure.
you can't do it with any other story in the world but mine. It's absolutely no doubt my fucking story is that film. And so, you know, that's my reimagining of the Riddler, not Matt Reeves. And you know, the fact that my name is not on that, it's ridiculous. You know, like they have the money to pay and they're just being greedy fucks. You know, there's no other way to say it, you know. So I mean, it's crazy though. But in this case, it's not even work for hire. I never sold this story. You know, I offered it to DC. They opted not to buy it. I offered it to fucking Uslan. He never fucking responded. There's no contract for that story, and that's why they're suing for ownership of the story. That's why DC, you know, Warner Brothers is directing DC to sue me to take ownership of a story I wrote 32 years ago. They're not saying, oh, that's not his story in the movie. They're suing for ownership of the story because there's no contract.
Right. And that's
Well,
so telling when they're countersuing you because you wrote an unauthorized Batman story.
Unauthorized.
That they yeah.
What about the other stories I fucking wrote? Yeah, it's like it's so retarded. Yeah, what are you gonna do? I mean,
Man.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to you, bro. Jeez.
Yeah, well, good luck to you. We'll share the
Good luck.
GoFundMe link, and we're also going to share out your email sign-up list.
Yep.
That's on Indiegogo for Penelope PowerHouse. And when that goes live, man, and you got more sample pages and things like that, you should come back on.
Absolutely.
When we hang out on a stream or something, and let us dive deeper into that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see what
man.
you end up finally doing, if you do the full book or if you break it up.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards breaking it up. And
Yeah.
I would definitely rather do that. But like
Don't listen to Art. Don't listen to Art. No one listens to Art.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, don't listen to fucking Art. He's so black and white, that guy.
What is
But
Art? Oh, he doesn't like
Hang
Spider-Man.
on. I don't know if you guys noticed that I'm playing with my glasses all day. You know what I did? So I this morning I get out, so I washed clothes in this this sweatshirt. I put these glasses in my pocket of my hoodie here, and I washed it and I dried it. Fuck them all up. Look at so I put on my head. I'm like, oh geez, now I'll just beat the shit out of me. So I'm trying to. I'm looking at it now. When I put them on, I don't know until I'm looking at the camera. I just dropped them now, and they're like they're. Look at it. So I don't know what the hell I gotta do. I guess I gotta try.
Just gotta put them back through, but do it in reverse.
Yeah, maybe I should dry them first because I'm wearing last night. I'm like, no, or this morning, I'm like, look at my glasses.
Are they just like readers though?
Yeah, but they're so.
Just go to your pharmacy and just go get another pair of readers.
I don't go to CVS, man.
Or do you go? Do you go to the Costco, Billy?
Hang on, I got to the Costco. No, I don't. No, I have a hookup. So these are
whose trunk is it? You're on Long Island.
These are really good ones. I can't read what brand. These are good.
Those glasses are weird on you. I don't know what it was. All of a sudden you look cross-eyed. Not those ones. The other one. What was that?
These?
Yeah. Why'd you look like your eyes got really close together?
Small. Look.
Oh, look at that.
These are my ones with the convention.
So you can put it in your fanny pack.
Oh my god.
Oh, my sporm. I have my kilt sporm. I could put it in my sporm. I do put them in my sporn, actually.
Do you have the ones that break apart and then come back?
Oh yeah, right. Those
Oh,
Oh,
dude, I
yeah.
should get those with the.
Yeah, the grannies.
How about that, Skylar? Is that a big turn on when the guy
think you should.
glasses like this and just?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yep.
Like when someone comes up for an autograph, like, oh hey, of course I'll sign that. And you're just like,
Yeah.
That's working for me.
Like, can we take a picture? Oh, yeah, hang on.
dude, get them, get them.
Oh,
I don't even care if there's
man.
lenses in them. Just get the frames. Make it happen.
Oh,
But,
I get new frame. Well, I got it. I don't know. I'll see.
But Waz, man, it was so much fun hanging out with you, dude.
Oh,
I
yeah,
appreciate you chatting with us, letting us dive deep a little bit. I'm sure a lot of people are asking you about it, as they're seeing social media and stuff. But it was great, chatting with you, hearing about the campaign, your story in comics, this unfortunate event you're dealing with.
Yeah.
I think you're well deserving of it. I think you should get your credit and everything. So I got your back, man.
Yeah.
I got it.
We're all back, and we'll all back your book. We're all gonna, please sign up for the new campaign.
Penelope PowerHouse.
Yep, and like I said, the link is here. We'll tweet it out too, and then next week, Skylar, if you will come back, this is when we have our
absolutely.
Meet Skylar Lauren show.
Oh my
So we're
god.
gonna-
Meet Skylar Lauren.
Only if we can all get matching glasses.
Oh,
No.
shit.
Can we? Let's do it.
Glasses
We'll
gang.
literally come on and snap them.
Oh, let's get.
all at the same
All
right,
time.
Why don't you just do the Bootsy Collins? Fucking...
Yes.
Do you wear glasses, Waz?
Yeah, I do actually.
Reader?
Not for to drive and shit. It's
Yeah, no, I need it for like this, like so I could read the super chats and
No.
stuff.
I suck. I just need them all the time. So
Same.
hate you, Billy.
Well, you have beautiful eyes, Nile.
Thank you. Oh, perfect.
Oh, sorry, Wad. Yeah.
He's talking to me, Waz. Give me my moment.
Thank you, everybody, man. Please go to Chris's, GoFundMe for sure.
Yes.
And,
Link is
and
in the
also
chat.
the
Link's in the
Indiegogo campaign.
description.
And man, bro, have a great holiday season, buddy.
Yeah, and everyone that's watching this live and that's watching this recorded, make sure to look below, click that subscribe button, and smash that bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And everyone, have a wonderful holiday. If I
Yeah,
don't
and
talk
let us
to you,
know
Waz,
when
have a
you go
wonderful
live.
holiday.
Keep us in the loop, Chris, about
Yeah,
what you're gonna do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, because you know more than Art does. So.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no, I don't.
Yeah. Art just, I don't know what Art does. He's just there. He's just there. He's Art. Love you, Art.
We
Have a
love
wonderful
Art.
night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Hey.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the Pop XP and over on Instagram at the Pop XP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.